County Commissioner for Tuesday, September 14th. It is 9:01. I would ask that the invocation be led by Pastor Aaron Long with the Village Church, if you'll come up, and the Pledge of Allegiance from Commissioner Bill Pickens. All rise if you're able to do so.
Father of all creation, thank you, Lord. Thank you for your creation. Thank you for our freedom in you. And thank you for the freedoms that we exercise in this country to worship you fully and freely. Thank you for our initial calling as human beings, as being caretakers of your creation, caretakers of our nation, of our state, and our beautiful county. Thank you for these men and women who have been called to be caretakers of Putnam County. And thank you for the leaders who represent the people of Putnam. Strengthen them to do your work. Provide them with wisdom that only comes from you. And let us hear your whisper, Lord, loud and clear. Guide the discussions today, Lord. Descend your Spirit to unite us in one spirit of love. And forgive us for when we lose sight of our call. Forgive us when we choose not to hear the cry of the needy and not hearing those who lack a voice. And for all those in attendance, either in person or online, let us be reminded that we are urged first and foremost to pray for all those in authority, to petition, to intercede, and to give thanks for all people. We pray that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. We pray for all first responders, essential workers, and those who are called to care for the ill. We pray for all those infected with the COVID virus. And finally, Lord, we pray to be good stewards of your creation, always and everywhere, yielding to your word as a source of guidance. We ask this in Jesus' name and with the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Long, and thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Gentlemen, on the first item on our minutes are the approval of the minutes as stated in your agenda.
Move approval.
Proper motion by Commissioner Turner.
I'll second.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Number 3, presentations. Clerk of the Court, the Honorable Matt Reynolds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to do this morning. If I've got any staff from the recording department, I'm looking and seeing. I don't see many. Dale couldn't come this morning for hers either. Okay, that's fine. Several weeks ago, I was presented with these recognitions for excellence for best practices acceptance in the clerk's office. The Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association, it's kind of like the Florida Association of Counties for the county. They have implemented a new recognition program for those clerks that undertake implementation of the best practices. They have a multitude of different best practices that they weigh in on. I was just recently appointed to the Best Practice Committee, so I'll get to work on those over the coming years. But they presented me at our summer conference with these nice recognition of excellence for completing our best practices for both marriage licenses and recording fundamentals. So what I'll do is I'll ask the staff that I do have present to come up, and I'd like to present these to the staff of the clerk's office. Even though I was presented with these awards, this was something that that staff had already implemented and something that I had basically inherited from Clerk Smith. So I wanted to be sure to recognize the staff because I didn't feel right accepting these awards for myself. So I wanted to be sure to give these out to different staff. And the clerk's office is going to be working on implementing a whole lot more best practices. So expect us to see hopefully more of these coming in the future as we move along. So
Congratulations.
thank y'all. I also have the next thing, so let me get.
You want to get a picture with them, Matt? Yeah, sure. Okay. We'll stand up here and y'all come up here. Y'all come up here.
Here we go.
Are you the official picture taker today?
I am today, sir.
We're going to put Matt at the end because he's taller than me even down there.
All the way to the end.
Almost no Disney. It's taller than
Okay.
Guess you gave it to me.
Mr. Suggs, you all want to join us? Sure. Okay. Hang on, Mr. Suggs down. Julianne, you want to be in it?
Everybody hop in. Camera keeps getting past now.
Well, I'm not putting Matt's side. I'll be over here.
You can actually put somebody up on Matt's shoulders. Oh, great, guys. Everybody say cheese. Cheese. All right, I took about 50 pictures, so we'll get them to you.
Good. Congratulations. for all of that.
All right, next up, I'm going to be calling pretty much everybody back up here that is here. So I'll do this one by one. And something that I don't believe the clerk's office has done in a while is recognition of completion of various milestones for years of service. And so this is something that I've been wanting to do because we had several employees recently that hit some pretty big milestones. So I wanted to bring all of the employees down to present them with this. The first person I have, and it may be out of order based on the agenda, but we'll start with Dale. She could not be here this morning, but Dale Figueroa. This certificate of appreciation is for 5 years of service presented to Dale for her dedicated service to the Putnam County Clerk of Circuit Court and Comptroller. And I'll make sure she gets that. The next one we have, and I didn't see Danielle here this morning. She couldn't make it either. Okay. We have another certificate of appreciation for 5 years of service presented to Danielle Wilkins for her dedicated service to the Putnam County Clerk of Circuit Court and Comptroller's Office. Do that one last. We don't have many people here. Mindy could not be here either, and I don't see Tammy couldn't make it either. So Mindy Gruder, we have a nice plaque for her as well. Presented to Mindy Gruder for her dedicated service to the clerk's office for 10 years. She started in August of 2011. So I appreciate her dedication and years of service. Tammy Thomas just reached 25 years of service, which is a pretty big milestone. She started in March of 1996, so it's been a while. It's been several months since her 25th anniversary, but she has been very loyal and dedicated to the clerk's office, so I appreciate her very much as well. And then somebody that we do have here, which has quite a milestone, I'll ask Miss Gail Willis to come up. She is celebrating her 50th year with the Putnam County Clerk's Office. She started with the Clerk's Office in April of 1971. So I would like to present her with her plaque for 50 years of service. Thank you so much. No, let's go have a picture with it. Let's make sure.
There must not have been child labor law.
Yeah,
but-
right. You're 10 years old?
That's the first thing I thought of when we were 10 years old.
Well, wait a minute, Matt, you're dwarfing me down.
All right, Walker.
That's okay. $50. How did you do that? You got to explain. You got to speak to us.
Oh,
Okay?
please.
No, don't want to?
I can't believe that. I can't imagine any other place I'd rather be for 50 years.
Awesome.
So Miss Gail is quite amazing, as you may or may not be aware. Her son Joel actually works in county IT as well. He previously worked for the Putnam County Clerk's office. I understand your mother also worked for the Putnam County Clerk's office, and Joel's son Shane Willis also currently works for the clerk's office. So I think I heard you say one time when you put together all of the years that your family has dedicated to the clerk's office, it was over 100 years. It was 110 years of service to the clerk's office. So it is quite an accomplishment, and I am deeply appreciative of your service, Miss Gail.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you again.
One last thing that I'll say is, surprisingly, Ms. Gale is not our only employee that has 50 years with the clerk's office. Hopefully, we'll get to recognize Ms. Rael Christensen when her anniversary comes up, but she also has 50-plus years of service with the clerk's office, and she is the one that does a significant amount of work on the AS 400 for us. So hopefully, we'll get to see
Is that
her
when that
sometime.
started in 50 years ago? Just that?
Yeah, well, I don't think the AS 400 was around 50 years ago, but she sure knows how to work it, and I'm very appreciative for them. So thank you all for allowing me to do this morning. Appreciate it.
Matt. Thank you. That's the best part of our job right here is recognition. And thank you for your comment that you can't imagine where you'd be without Putnam County. We can't imagine where we'd be without you. So thank you so much. All right, next on our agenda is Commissioner Pickens is going to read the proclamation for the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Have them come up front? Or?
Yes. If you want to. I'll go down there with you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Harvey. Declaring September 17th, 2021 as Constitutional Week in Putnam County, Florida. Whereas September 17th, 2021 marks the 234th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document in its memorable anniversary and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas the Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, for there it be proclaimed by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners that the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2021 is hereby declared Constitution Week in Putnam County. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners urges all citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Duly proclaimed this 14th day of September 2021. Mr. Chairman, I move we accept this proclamation.
Proper motion by Commissioner Pickens.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
We want to thank the commissioners for this and recognition of the Constitution. As members of the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Constitution is something that's very important to us. In fact, in 1955, I was born, they petitioned the Congress to recognize the Constitution officially. And then in 1956, President Eisenhower recognized it and created Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd. So every year since, it has been recognized as such. Locally here in Putnam County, we're kind of slow start sometimes. our chapter, but we have had several programs regarding that. Mr. Sharp came and spoke with our chapter about the Constitution. We have a bell ringing ceremony, which is this Friday on the steps of the First Presbyterian Church down by the river. Everyone is invited to come. There's a short program at 3:30, and then at 4 o'clock, bells everywhere at 4 o'clock will ring, celebrating the signing of the Constitution. That's 234 years since that was signed. It's the shortest and longest government constitution still in existence. So we really do have something to be proud of.
We have a sign we'd like to present to you all to post out front in honor of Constitution Week.
Good, thank you. And if you can't come up here, we'll get our picture. Stand behind. Y'all stand up a little bit, and then we're all gonna get. Yeah, start people in the front. Yeah. We're good? You know what, I'm gonna jump up there, hang on a second. I'm gonna get back. Keep it consistent.
Hey Larry, I'm waiting.
I'm here.
Yeah, she's in the DNR.
You want to come in, Nicole? Come in. There's two Nicoles today. Model Nicole. Sheriff, I love that camera you have. I didn't know you liked bling as much.
That is me.
Did you see something you shouldn't have?
Take a picture of yourself.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank y'all very much. We'll take it. I'll put it back here. Thank you.
Ladies.
All right, next thing on our agenda is the next proclamation declaring September National Recovery Month. Commissioner Adamczak, you have that proclamation.
This Putnam County proclamation is declaring September National Recovery Month. Whereas mental health and substance use disorders affect all communities nationwide, with commitment and support, those impacted can embark on a journey of improved health and overall wellness. And whereas the focus of the National Recovery Month this September is to celebrate all people that make the journey of recovery possible by embracing the 2021 theme, Recovery is for everyone, every person, every family, every community. And whereas Recovery Month spreads the message that people can and do recover every day. And whereas the impact of mental health and substance use disorders is apparent in our local community, through Recovery Month, people become more aware and able to recognize the signs of mental health and substance use disorders. And whereas Recovery Month encourages people in need of recovery services to seek help in managing the effects of mental health and substance use disorders to achieve healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally. And whereas Recovery Month observance works to improve the lives of those affected by mental health and substance use disorders by raising awareness and educating our community about the effective services that are available. Now therefore, the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims the month of September 2021 as National Recovery Month and call upon our community to observe the month with compelling programs and events that support this year's observance. The 32nd anniversary of Recovery Month. I move that we accept this proclamation.
Proper motion by Commissioner Adamczak, proper second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. I'm going to pass the gavel to our Vice Chair, Mr. Bill Pickens, and I'm going to read the next proclamation, since I think it's fitting that I serve as that role for the Florida Association of Counties. Resolution number 2167, Mr. Chairman, supporting affordable and reliable high-speed internet throughout Florida. Whereas reliable and affordable high-speed internet access is essential for Floridians to be prosperous and meet today's challenge. And whereas the absence of access to reliable and affordable high-speed internet service prevents communities from achieving the high quality of life that is considered a fundamental component for education and economic success. And whereas the absence and/or lack of high-speed internet hinders the ability for all school children to have access to educational opportunities, hinders access to telemedicine to improve health outcomes for its residents, and to provide access without demanding travel and transportation. It hinders the ability for rapid communication between the public and law enforcement agencies, hinders the ability for communities to maintain and expand business opportunities, stimulate job growth, and hinders the ability to engage in innovative technologies that are required for a vibrant economy. Whereas the Florida legislature recently passed House Bill 969, creating an Office of Broadband within the Department of Economic Opportunity, requiring the creation of a strategic plan that has goals and strategies for increasing the use of broadband internet service in the state. And whereas it is imperative that the strategic plan be based on accurate and up-to-date mapping and internet access needs of the public and private sector. And whereas the National Association of Counties has developed, tested, an easy-to-use mapping tool that can be used to access availability of internet. And whereas in order to meet the goal of universal access to high-speed internet, it will be necessary to determine what the private providers need to provide affordable and reliable connectivity in sparsely located areas and support necessary to address issues of sparse population and to provide expanded internet services and engage governmental entities at federal, state, and local level in order to be accessible. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners hereby support the state of Florida's Department of Economic Opportunity in the effort to achieve access to reliable and affordable high-speed internet access to every household and business throughout the state of Florida. That the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners will assist the state office in broadband by participating as needed in meeting the obligations of House Bill 969, including providing information, assistance in mapping efforts, and supporting other such efforts that will lead to enhanced access to affordability, reliable high-speed internet services throughout the state of Florida. A copy of this resolution shall be incorporated into the minutes and official records of Putnam County, done, ordered, and adopted by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners this 14th day, September 2021. Mr. Chairman, I move approval of this resolution.
I second that.
Okay, we've got a proper motion, a proper second. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Rawls?
In the support of 969, is there any economic impact at all on the budget, or is this just, we already have everything in place that they need? Okay.
We already have everything in place, and there's no hit on the budget unless we decide to go any further in the tools that we are provided to. If we want to do mapping and things in that.
That was where I was going, is it, if we're going to do mapping, is that going to, is there any, do we have to dedicate any money to this?
Not for this resolution.
Okay, I
no.
just don't want to say
No.
blanket, yeah, I approve this, and then,
No,
okay.
no.
All right, I got no problems.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Resolution passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I'll pass the gavel back to Commissioner Harvey. Mr. Chairman Harvey.
Close the meeting.
Yeah.
All right, next item on our agenda is our public comment on agenda items. Again, this portion of our agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring these matters of the consent agenda to the board. There will be a chance at the end of this meeting if you want to bring any miscellaneous items. There are public comment cards. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes if you can. And we'll take that comment period now. So is there anybody that would like to speak on agenda items? All right, seeing nobody here to speak on agenda items, we will close that portion of our public comment period, go to the consent agenda. I'll start with my far left. Commissioner Rawls, is there any items you'd like to pull off the consent agenda?
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Pickens?
I have none.
Commissioner Adamsack?
I have none today.
I'm sorry?
I have none.
Thank you. Commissioner Turner?
I have none.
And I have none. So the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda items A through M.
We have
Second.
proper motion by Commissioner Turner, proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, the ayes have it. Mr. Clerk of the Court, Matt Reynolds, you're next.
I have nothing else today. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
good,
Chairman.
thank you. Appointments, I'll start with my far right. Mr. Adamsack, do you have any appointments you'd like to make?
I have none today.
Mr. Turner?
I have none, sir.
Mr. Pickens?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Miss Mary Ann Braddock to serve on the Better Place Plan Oversight Committee.
Okay,
And she should be filling her application out yesterday or today. And then I hope to have an appointment next meeting for Parks and Recs Advisory Board. That's all I have.
thank you. Mr. Ross?
I have Linda Bazzer for District 2 ZBOA.
Good, all right. And that's duly noted. And I have one for the record that Megan Weaver is removing herself off of the Planning Commission, so I'll find a replacement for her. She has contacted me, and she is having a baby, and she's going to focus in on that right now.
Was
That's
she
a question.
district or at large?
She's my appointment, yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr.
Yeah,
Pickens.
mine was a district appointment. On your ZBOA district appointment, did somebody resign, or did you?
I just can't find,
No, I mean,
Oh.
on the ZBOA.
No, it
Commissioner
says we have a resignation
Was that Joe Theobald?
on the ZBOA, and we'll just have a vacancy from a resignation. But it wasn't Joe Theobald. He wasn't on the ZBOA, I don't think.
I thought he was.
You know who resigned?
Do you know who resigned?
okay. Thank you. All right, good.
It was, I can't think of her name, but it wasn't Joe Theobald. Not for District 2, at least.
Okay, are those district specific, I guess, on all of them on the ZBA, or are there some at large?
There's vacancies we have are District 2 and District 4. It was just appointed at District 2.
Okay, they're district specific, though?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. County Administrator, Mr. Terry Suggs.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners.
morning.
Just one quick announcement. Last week, and I believe, Sarah, this might have been in the Palatka Daily News as well, the Veritas Steel, one of our large stakeholders out at the barge port, interesting article where they just completed a new bridge in our nation's capital in D.C. And in the article, they mentioned both the Wisconsin plant as well as the Palatka plant as part of that project. And so, those are great things that are coming right out of Putnam County right here at our barge port. So I thought that was a great article. Took the opportunity to send that article to the Army Corps of Engineers for the project that we're pushing through right now. And I received a notification yesterday that our fact sheet that we've been waiting on has been pushed through headquarters and is sitting on the colonel's desk waiting for signature for approval. According to our project manager, they think that approval may come as early as this week. So I'll keep the commissioners abreast of that, updated on that. So another hurdle, hopefully cleared here at the barge port. So things are moving forward, and I can't thank the commissioners enough for your support, for staff, for Deputy County Administrator, Ms. Young, as well as our Legislative Affairs Coordinator, Mr. Sullivan, who's done yeoman's work on this project. So it's a great team effort, but one that wouldn't be supportive without you folks. And so thank you so much for that. And I'll keep you abreast as the news comes down from the Army Corps.
Yeah, Mr. Suggs, that's been I think since you've been here, we've been working on that. And prior to that, we've been working on that. So
The barge port project started a couple years ago, and I got to give kudos to Josh Gabaton, who is our federal lobbyist, who set that in motion when he held a stakeholders meeting here with all the folks, not only out of Tallahassee with DEO, the USDA, and those folks, but in EDA at the time, but also DOT and National DOT, US DOT as well. And if you remember, we took a tour out there that day, and so I called him yesterday to tell him as well that the project that he helped us get kicked off about 2 years ago has really been doing well, and how thankful we are for his support as well.
Well, thank you for all your effort on that. Mr. Attorney, Rich Commanda?
Nothing today, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Starting to my left, Commissioner comments, Commissioner Rawls.
I wasn't able to be here last week due to an illness, but I was able to watch this meeting. I really think we should consider having our meetings accessible to the public via, I don't know if YouTube has a channel that can be opened up where they can communicate, or through Facebook, or whatever we can do. I know the city of Plaque is able to do that, but y'all couldn't hear me vote. I was voting right there with you. It just seems like in you know, the proclamation that we just passed regarding access to internet and the reasons why it's so important, that exemplifies one of the directions we're heading. I think that we should be able to have meetings where if one of the commissioners are not able to attend in person, they can attend virtually, or if a citizen's not able to attend in person, they can attend virtually. I don't know why we wouldn't consider doing that. So that would be a request from me that we have that conversation at some point in the near future.
Thank you. Mr. Pickens?
Yeah, Chairman Harvey, first, I'd like to discuss a topic that we've actually voted on and took action, but I believe there's an avenue to be able to help our employees out. A few weeks ago, we voted to move forward, and I voted for it, to move forward to fund the insurance fully for this past year. But the next year is to fund it with 20% to be paid by, I believe, the employees. And then there was a sliding scale of how that was going to be distributed. Even though I think that is the best business decision for the county, I don't know if it was the best, this is just my opinion, if it was the best for our employees. This is my 5th year as a commissioner, and when I arrived here, we had budget issues. We had a lot of issues, and by all means, when I discuss the situation when I got here, I'm not pointing a finger at any commissioner that came before me. I'm not, because people will criticize me when I'm gone. It's just the way the economy was, and I think we made great strides with staff, bringing in a county administrator and his hires. Probably none of the department heads that are in place today were in place when I started 5 years ago. So some changes have been made, and I think positive things have come out of that. We've also been able to give raises to employees, small raises over the last 3 years, which hadn't been able to be done. So even though I believe that what we moved forward was the right business approach, I think it maybe took a back step for our employees. We will continue, and are now and will continue to have challenges to hire new employees, retain employees, because of the growth and the success of counties surrounding us. And we're not the only department. All the constitutionals, especially the sheriff's department, has that issue too. I believe there's an avenue to help this situation. When we decided to do that, and then we decided to distribute the rest of the monies to the constitutional officers and retain, I believe, 30% of that particular, Julianne, I believe it was $400-something thousand, to retain that for the Board of County Commissions to be used at however we decide or staff decides. There's enough money in there to fund the shortfall of the insurance and still leave a little bit of money. So I'd like to put that out for discussion, that's a possibility that we'd be able to fund it again for the coming year, and with a new HR person in position, and hopefully working with the insurance committees. Clay Davis has done a great job, but some of the things that HR may be able to implement, wellness programs and things like that, that maybe we can, and hopefully our claims will change, is that we could support this one more year and hopefully be able to come to this point next year, hopefully with reduced rates and a better plan to move forward. So I just wanted to bring that forward to the board. I believe it would be $109,000 to fund it, and there's a little over $150,000.
Is that a motion
there.
that you'd like to make?
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
I'll second.
That we would allow staff, if the commissioners agree, that if that money is better served to go ahead and fund our insurance for our employees for the upcoming year. So that would be my motion.
We have proper motion on the floor by Commissioner Pickens, proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Questions from Mr. Turner?
I guess my first question would be, if you all will bear with me a second. When we came up with this plan, we came up with a plan to try to find the most equitable way to fund a piece of it from the county. When we talked to all the constitutionals, they unequivocally said that they're gonna cover it on their own one way or the other. That makes it unfair. We tried to do this from a fairness standpoint, all the way through. The whole program was supposed to be fair, that everybody paid 1.2% across the board, all employees at the county. If that had remained the plan, then it would be fair. But making a paramedic pay 1.2% when a member of the clerk or the sheriff's office or the supervisor's office or whoever that have stated they're gonna cover it on their own, that makes it unfair again. It makes it unfair to the employees of Putnam County on the board side. My question would be, with that being said, are we talking about that we're gonna cover the 108,000 on the board side and let the constitutionals cover theirs just like we've said they said they would already out of their budget? Or are we talking about spending and covering everybody's everywhere? Because I'll support it if we're gonna cover the BOCC side, because it's unfair to make our employees pay when the other constitutional officers are gonna absorb it in their budget. So if we're gonna absorb that to put us on the same scale as them absorbing theirs, I'm for it. If we're gonna cover everybody's, then I'm not for it. So I guess my question would be, what is the motion exactly? Are we covering everybody's, or are we covering BOCC side of it? Because the constitutionals have already stated they're gonna cover theirs. So to make it fair, we cover ours, and then everybody's gets covered by the offices. That's my question. Does the motion for Mr. Pickens, does this motion cover us covering ours or us covering everybody's? Because it's not 109.
No, it's us covering the BOC side.
Okay, then I'll support that motion along with you.
Unless I'm wrong, and I know they probably still won't agree, that we did not fund fully the constitutionals, but we did fund some extra money, didn't we?
We did.
Out of that $400-something thousand, which
Yes.
can help go to that.
Okay,
And that's
all
how
I
you
had.
understood it too, Commissioner?
You know, I'll,
Because you seconded.
yeah, I'll take it either way, but
Okay.
if I can have the floor?
You have the floor, sir.
All right. We shorted the constitutionals. I think we should bear responsibility, the commission as a whole, for what I would consider our failure over the past couple of years of not monitoring and running this insurance plan the way we should have. I don't think we should put this on the backs of the employees. We weren't doing our due diligence. We weren't getting the numbers. We weren't having meetings. We weren't demanding the data. And when we did, we weren't getting it. So I think we should bear the brunt of this, all of it, not the employees at all. I think it puts the constitutionals in a tough position. The clerk of courts indicated that this would chew into his ability to be able to give pay raises. And then this morning, I stayed late watching the news, wanting to see what the CPI was. You know, our core CPI is at 4% year over year. That's a 4% inflation. It does not include groceries, when we all know that groceries cost a lot more money. Doesn't include fuel, which goes up and down. But what we're offering at a bare minimum, if we can't give our employees at least enough of a pay raise to get them to the 4%, they're going to be suffering over the next year having to spend more money to provide themselves with the same level of whatever lifestyle they had before or less. And then to put another burden on top of that with this insurance, and a lot of this was foreseeable. We could have stopped the ball in motion. We could have called meetings over the past couple of years, and I requested it, that we sit down with staff and have a conversation with them as stakeholders and let them know that they have a dog in this fight, and we didn't do that. I think that we should pay for this ourselves right now and allow the employees not to take this double whammy.
Mr. Adams, you have the floor.
I believe the clerk of courts has his hand up as well, so I'll defer to him if you'd like. He's leaving.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a quick comment, with this discussion. I wasn't going to, bring it up again. I kind of debated whether I should bring it up any further to the board or not. But since we're discussing this, and since Commissioner Turner is speaking of fairness, so the way I'm viewing it from my point of view is the board has not allocated enough funding to the clerk's office to be able to give raises. The board is giving their employees raises. So that is why I was going to try to absorb the cost to not pass on any health insurance increases to my employees. And the way I was going to do that is my share, or the clerk's office share, of the insurance increase was a little over $20,000. When you guys voted the other day to split the 400, that excess 20%, the clerk's office share was about $16,000, so I only needed to find about $5,000. But now if the board is talking about further diluting what I am going to get in the guise of, quote, fairness, I don't consider that very fair whatsoever, because first of all, I don't have the money to even give my employees raises, and then second of all, it's just more, it's not fair to me, to the clerk's office employees, and so I just felt that I really needed to make that statement. But it is the decision of the board, and whatever you guys choose to do, we will honor. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. I appreciate that, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Turner.
Okay. Number one, the clerk's budget included a 10% raise for health insurance in his budget. Number two, the clerk decided to fund a whole new department, the IG department, and support staff for it. If he decides to fund a department instead of giving his employee raises, that's fine. That's completely his deal. But then he comes up here, we didn't dilute any money that went to the clerk's office the other day, not a penny. You got your same percentage that you got first time around, the second time around. So no money was diluted from the clerk's office or any other constitutional. Additional monies were given on top of the previous monies. So all the constitutionals made the comment straight up that if we were going to pass any on at all, they were going to absorb it. That made it unfair on the BOCC side. Us covering ours shouldn't impact any of the other constitutionals any more than they were impacted before this motion was made. So, I have to bring that up too, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have another couple comments, if that's all right.
Mr. Reynolds, let me go back to Mr. Pickens, because
Okay.
I read the same thing in your initial budget that you submitted with the 10% insurance and the 3% raise. Mr. Pickens.
From what I understand, the motion I'm making is, and I hope y'all get this fixed, because I don't like this
No,
one.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, that's the money that we're getting on the BOCC side from the money that was left over. That's where this money's coming from. It's not going to further dilute any of y'all's budget at all. Correct? This is from the 150 that we got out of the 469. So this is BOCC money that we could use to buy JR a fire truck, or we could do this. And I'm just making that suggestion that it might be best served as our employees to use that money to fund the insurance.
Mr. Clerk.
Yes, sir. In regards to what Commissioner Turner was just saying about creating a new department, so let me just back up and explain a little bit more about how I approached the budget process when I came to the board with my budget request this year. So in my budget request this year, I held the line. I started at the same amount of funding as the previous year, and I approached that to do so that we try to live within our means. Then I presented the board with the various cost increases for things like raises, 10% health insurance, the reallocation through an audit that we had to go through with DFS. And so based upon the money that I have allocated from the board right now, I can only cover the increase from the allocation for DFS. What I did with setting money aside for a new, creating an inspector general or an internal audit shop is, there's a reason that I don't have a chief deputy clerk. I am going without a chief deputy clerk to create that savings to be able to do something that I am constitutionally charged, also charged by Florida statutes to do. That is part of my job, is to make sure that things are audited. I'm the ex officio auditor of the county. This hasn't been being done in the past, and I feel like it's something that I am personally responsible for, and that's why I am making the effort to make savings on my own to be able to implement something that is needed. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. I understand that it looks like it's the creation of a new department, but I created savings elsewhere so that I could live within my means and still get the things done that I feel like I need to get done.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Clerk. Mr. Adams,
So I guess, as far as it goes with the budget, so we decided to do, as a commission, 3-2 vote, we decided to go with balancing it out with the percentages to everyone based on whatever the criteria was. Based on last year, I think it was, right? I don't believe in that process, but I was on the losing side of that vote, and I accept that. I think with that, when we decided to go that process, we had meetings set up for budgetary things, and we were having really good discussions, and that all kind of closed. And then, so we basically gave staff a lot of autonomy as far as the decision-making for how our whole budget's going to look from the BOCC side. And the Constitutional still chose to provide us information and didn't take advantage of the autonomy that they could have had, because they just had a percentage and they could just spend it as they liked. So I appreciate that you guys were forthright and gave us information on your budgets, and I don't think we should be using that against you. So I think that's what we're saying here is, oh, by having an IG, you made bad decisions or not decisions that, you know, to use the money for alternative purposes. It's up to you to decide what you do with your money, and especially if we're going to go with this percentage basis, which I'll never vote yes for that, but that we may vote yes for it again next year. I'm all for the IG. I can't vote for the motion as it stands because it doesn't go across all the constitutionals. I have been thinking about this a lot, and part of when we spoke about this the first time that Commissioner Turner had brought it up, you know, part of my argument was we should be using that savings to fund raises, more raises for the lower paid employees in the county. And if we're not doing that, that kind of gets me a little bit off of the idea of moving it forward the way it stood before. Understand we already had voted that forward, but since it's back up in front of us, I can't support this only because it doesn't include the constitutionals. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
I think we're at a juncture, we have an opportunity to make something right that's broken. I think in retrospect, what we should have done was made the insurance fund whole first before we started allocating any money to anybody. At the end of the day, the BOCC and the BOCC only makes the final determination on what happens with this insurance policy, the insurance plan. I think we really missed an opportunity by not addressing that before we started making the allocations for the budget. And I agree with Commissioner Adams, Zach, and I've said it before. I think just taking a percentage and throwing it willy-nilly at a department, saying, here, this is all you get. They came to us and they said, this is what we need. We never addressed the needs. We just said, this is all you're going to get. You know, I don't like the way we do our budget. You know, there's a lot of things that I don't care for, but I think the budget is one thing that really sticks in my craw the most, because we're not taking a look at it from a real, true fiscal responsible position. We're just throwing something at the wall, come up with $198 million. I to date have never gotten an answer to the question I asked. Where is the $202 million being spent? Where is it coming from? But you know, bare minimum, I'm in favor of this motion, because if nothing else, it'll help support our employees, but I would like it to go across the board to all county, including constitutionals.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Okay, so the motion as it stands and seconded is that we're gonna cover the BOCC side of this to make it fair with the constitutionals covering theirs.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Out of the money that was
Yes, sir.
the
I
last money
understand.
that was distributed, which we could use it for anything we wanted to.
Right, that's correct. I understand that. Thank you.
right.
Call for question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Starting to my far right, Mr. Adamczyk, you have the floor. Whoops, I'm sorry, Mr. Pickens still has the floor. I apologize for that.
No worries.
On a lighter note, I just want to thank Chairman Harvey for all the things that he does for Putnam County, and some of the small things that actually end up meaning a lot, kind of gone unnoticed. But he reached out to me last week and asked if I would be interested in coming to the Interlaken Crescent City game. It was held in Interlaken, and walk out at representative of me graduating from Crescent City High School, and then Larry from Interlaken High School, to walk out and join in the coin toss at the beginning of the game. And I asked him if we were going to have to square off, and he said
God,
no. He said no, but I was extremely honored to do that. The referees that were there and did the coin toss and walked out with the players wanted to make sure. They kept talking to me the whole time. He said, don't take him out, don't take him out. So anyway, but I was honored to walk out with the quarterback, Nakeem Scott, who I believe scored the winning touchdown. And the winning touchdown
little rub
for
there.
Crescent City. Yeah, that's the start of the little rub. And also Luke Schulenkamp, and I believe I pronounced that correctly. Luke goes to South Putnam Church, where I attend, and just a fine young man. So I was able to walk out and participate in the coin toss. I actually left after the first quarter, right when Crescent City scored. And I felt that J.R. Grimes and the other fans that were there had everything taken care of with the team. And Crescent City led the whole game, but had to come back from behind at a minute and 13 seconds to win. But Crescent City won 27-21. And Larry, I challenge you to come down to Crescent City next year, and we'll do the same thing. But I wanted to thank you for that, and I truly appreciate it.
Thank
That's
you,
all I
Mr.
have.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens. That was, yeah, I thought I was going to have to wear a jersey today. I didn't know if I would or not.
Crescent City jersey.
Correct, correct. Okay, Mr. Adamczyk, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make note of the, the fact that we argue about things up here, and we discuss things, and we do it pretty aggressively. But, there's a lot of things on our agendas, and we've talked about this in the past, that, we all agree on, and that's a good thing as well. We had an agenda today that really had a lot of common sense things on it. I mean, literally A through M, and we all agree to do it under consent. It's not because there wasn't any discussion. It's because there was a lot of good stuff on there. So I just do want to make the public aware that there is a lot of good. When we pull one or two items and we have a good debate about it, that is for the benefit of the community and staff and everyone watching and listening. I had some more fluffy type stuff, I guess is the way I like to refer to it, but when I listened to the Pastor Long this morning, he kind of said something that struck a chord with me about looking out for those that are in need and those without a voice in our community. And it's important, and that, part of my concern is we have an opportunity to do something about that as a commission, and we don't always get those type opportunities, and it's rare, and it's because of a disease that we're given this ARPA money, and in the past we were given the CARES Act money. These are two unique situations. The CARES is passed and done, so ARPA is our means forward. This is a unique situation where we can fund things that directly impact the citizens and the people in need who need to have their voice heard. And we need to really consider that. We've already committed about almost 20% of the budget of ARPA to date with our last meeting. I don't want to see it where we get to 100% and we haven't met any of the needs, whether it's for addiction, education, people that are homebound, people that need food, people with disabilities. There are some opportunities here. We've had several organizations present us opportunities, and I hope and pray that this commission as a whole utilizes some of this over the next 2 years to help with some of those items. There is infrastructure money. We've heard it from our congresswoman. We've heard it from our state legislators. That is coming down the pipe that some of these other projects could be utilized for. And just that struck a chord with me, and I switched up what I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amzat. Mr. Turner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to start by saying I agree with you, Commissioner Adams-Zack. I look forward to a robust discussion on the ARPA funds. I really do, and I do believe that some of that definitely needs to go, and that the other types of funding that are coming down the pike for different things should be taken into account when we talk about that also. I have an item to bring before the commission today that probably nobody's even heard of before. I had some members of the community reach out to me because it's in my district and ask would we be interested in owning the old East Palaca Community Center. Now, the community center's not there anymore. It burnt down and they cleaned it up and what have you, so it's basically just a park. When I was a child, we played baseball there. San Mateo played East Palaca, whatever. So it used to be a baseball field. It's not anymore. So it would mostly be a park. I ran that by the Parks Department, and they said that because there's no other playground in that area that would be meet a need that they had. Now, we can't build a playground right now, but if we're gonna get this property, we're only gonna get it right now. The person that reached out to me on this said that there wasn't but one thing we had to do. We had to name the park after Jerry Beedenball. He was very involved in that organization over the years, and so if they donated the property to the county, then we'd have to name the park after them. So I would like to have the permission from the commission to reach back out to these citizens that are on that board or whatever and tell them, yes, we would be interested in it, because it would be a park. At this time, the only additional expense that I can see would be we'd have to mow the grass, continue mowing the grass in the area. It's already cleared and what have you, so it wouldn't be a tremendous thing. If nobody knows where it is, it's basically right across the street from the post office in East Palaca is where it is.
Oh, okay.
Right across, what's the street that goes out to the highway?
McCormick? is it?
McCormick, yes.
McCormick.
Right
So-
across McCormick from the post office there, it used to be the East Palaca Community Center. It was the same thing as the,
It's right across from our trail system.
yeah, I think so,
Yes.
and so, maybe it could be a piece of a trailhead, it could be a park, or as we find time in the future, maybe we could budget some money in one of the future budgets to, put in a little playground or something or what have you. So, we have nothing like that over there. The San Mateo Center used to also be private. They turned it over to the county back when Charlie Baird was the county commissioner. So basically it's the same thing. It's a private entity that wishes to turn it over to the county if we want it. I think it would be very good for the county. So, Mr. Chairman, at this time, do you need a motion for me to proceed with this?
I think we can just get consensus, waive and support.
Consensus? Okay.
And right now, do you support that concept?
Not yet.
Okay. Mr. Adams-Zack, you have the
You don't
floor.
want a free park?
Not yet.
Mr. Adams-Zack?
So my concern is, I feel, and maybe it's unique to West Putnam, but we're not maintaining the parks that we have that aren't centralized to Palaca. Melrose Youth Sports Association has been losing people like crazy because the fields aren't mowed and people are leaving our county and going to Keystone and other areas, including myself, because we had no alternative because the soccer program couldn't exist because of the fact they couldn't get enough kids, partly because the fields aren't maintained, partly because the cost is much higher there compared to other areas, because basically we're competing with a program in Palaca because the commission funds part of the ability for the kids to play, and we're not doing that in other sections of the county. So my only concern with taking on an additional park of any kind is how does that spread out our ability to maintain the parks that we already have, because we're not doing a good enough job today. So I don't want to take on another thing when we're not funding our park. And I don't think it's because the Parks Department doesn't want to do the job. It's because we're not funding them enough to get the equipment and the people out to the other areas. We have currently, we need to build up the Interlaken, West Putnam Youth Association, whatever we call that. They're not even playing ball because basically the group defuncted. We need to find ways to help the groups that already exist in conjunction with maybe expanding our park system. But until we can do that, I just think we need to focus on making what we have today better and then worry about expanding.
So East Palaca can't have a park because they're not maintaining the 10 they got in Interlaken good enough.
Well, how are they gonna, but I'm worried about taking on an unfunded mandate, which is something you talk about a lot from this dais, and the fact that we're gonna have a park when we can't currently maintain some of the parks that we have based on our budget. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, if we find a way to do that, I'm all for expanding our parks and having parks in every community in the county, but we need to do a better job with what we have today.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
We're not taking action on acquiring the property today. We'll have conversation when we get the agreement put in place, but I agree, we're going to have to make sure that it's funded properly for us to be able to afford to maintain it. I think it's a great opportunity. The location's awesome. It's definitely in a area that's slated to be in high demand from a growth perspective, so I think we should take a look at that. There is you get the basketball courts right down the street, but there's really not a lot to do in that area if you don't, if we don't put that in there. And I think that we should be taking a look at opportunities like this for our future, for our citizens. But like Commissioner Adams said, we need to make sure that we have the funding to be able to handle it. Right now we've got bicycle trails with massive gaps in between that we can't even get design work started on because we're not willing to commit to just putting up the money to start the trail maintenance process, not even have to pay for it ourselves, just to be able to state that we'll be responsible for maintaining it and then finding partners to do that. But I see it both ways. I think we should take the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing the agreement when it comes in front of us.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens.
Okay, you're just asking for permission to just move forward
That's all.
with.
I'd like to just say, yes, we're interested if you want to give it to us.
Yep.
Okay, yes, but I would, and I know you will, for when you come back with presentation, that we run it by the Parks Advisory Board.
I started there. Well, I started at the Parks
At Parks,
Department.
and I'm sure Kevin will update us on our next meeting first Monday in October.
I don't know there's anything to update you on yet. I basically went to them and said, would y'all have interest? Because if you don't, I don't even want to bring it up. And they said, yes, they did have interest because there's no playground in the area. There's a basketball court. But other than that, there's no parks anywhere over in that area.
Well,
So,
right now you have 4 people in consensus. Mr. Adams,
I'm gonna add my consensus based on the idea that would come back to us.
good deal.
I
Okay.
do support
So
expanding
you
our
have 5
parks.
consensus right now, so we're good.
Yeah.
Mr. Turner, you still have the floor.
yes, I'm glad to see that we have the biosolids on the agenda for this afternoon. So I had some comments I was gonna make on biosolids, but I'll hold them until the workshop this afternoon when it's on the agenda. Also, I want to request that a discussion about Waste Pro be put on the agenda for the workshop this afternoon. I don't know about other commissioners because I can't talk to them except when I'm in a meeting legally, and haven't. But, yes, they're frustrated. Waste Pro's frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. They can't do their job. The citizens are aggravated.
Can we do that this afternoon?
Yes, sir, I'll get there.
Okay.
But I'd like that to be placed
It
on the
will.
agenda this afternoon if possible, sir.
We'll make room for it.
I would like that on there, and then we'll talk about it, because something's got to be done, I'm just telling you. So, That's all I had for today.
Okay,
Thank you.
good deal,
Mr.
thank you. And I want to give a few things out. Tonight is the first middle school game at the Interlaken Junior and Senior High. It'll be kind of like a freshman team, and they're going to be playing Palaca, I believe. So if you can make your way out there at 6 o'clock this evening, Rotary is taking over the concession stand. Sorry, had to give a shameless plug for that. But, you know, that's a good event. And Saturday, the West Putnam Athletic Association is having another game at Interlaken High School. They use the football fields there. 2 weeks ago, they had a jamboree, and it was very well attended. Many teams throughout this region came, and it was a very good meeting, a very good opportunity. Okay, so now it comes the time in our public comment for miscellaneous items. We do ask that if you can fill out a blue card. If you can't, you can still bring matters to the board's attention. Do not consider that there's going to be debate on items that we don't know anything about. We will ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes. And I think Ms. Ashley has a card. Thank you, Ms. Ashley. Mr. Hammond, do you realize that you just heard that this is going to be at 2 o'clock today?
I heard that, but I'd also like to give my 3 minutes worth now.
You may come up, sir, and we got your emails too, to referring to that. I didn't respond to you because I did want to let you know that it was going to be at 2 o'clock. But go right ahead, Mr. Jim Hammond.
This good where this is?
If you raise it up.
If you raise it all the way up, you got to speak into
A little
it.
higher.
It'll come up. There you
Got a
go.
fishing pole like that.
Yeah.
All right. Number one, my name is Jim Hammond. I'm a resident of Putnam County, landowner of Putnam County, full-time. And I would like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak. And sorry, you guys didn't get any of this handout. I've never done this before, and I thought it was just these guys I was speaking to.
It
all
is,
right?
sir. It is.
All
That's
right.
fine.
The handout that I gave you is, the first page will be a map. This map shows, in red writing, the proposed dump site for the biohazards waste here that's been the big commotion for a while, okay? As you can see from this map, there is a blue line. That blue line is a creek, a stream, a running, free-flowing stream that runs into Crescent Lake. Now, all of us in our years have seen what water does when it's flowing fast. There's no controlling it. So anybody that can say, I'm going to dump a bunch of stuff here, but I'm going to minimize the effort to have it run into the lake, come on, really, all right? The next page, you will see the stream, and you will see the land that I believe is wetlands that has already been partially destroyed. And I think, my opinion, that the reason that you see all this fill is so the person wanting to dump this stuff can elevate this land higher than the minimal slope to have a site here. But it's still not going to fix it. We know you can't stop that. All right? This lake, or this picture here, right down on this end, is old Highway 17, right here. And this creek stream runs into the lake I showed you on the map. The next page will contain, from the United States Environmental Protection Agency, what can be or will be contained in what this guy is applying to dump here. Class B biosolids. These things contain arsenic. How much of that do we want in our lake? Cadmium, chromium, copper, lead, mercury, molybdenum, nickel, selenium, and zinc. These are all stuff you don't put in our water. You don't. I know y'all wouldn't want it into your water that you're drinking or eating fish from. And this is from the EPA. This is not something I just pulled out of the air. All right. Then the last piece of sheet here was something that I generated with some of the facts and some of the results. This picture here, for those of you that don't have one of these, this is dead fish caused by red tide, algae blooms. When you put poop, nutrients, in water, you cause algae blooms to take off. These algae are there now. all right? But they're kind of like some bad stuff that might be in us. It's sort of dormant. Well, when you start fertilizing it,
Let's go ahead and
gonna
wrap up.
explode.
okay,
Go
when you
ahead and
start
wrap up.
fertilizing it, it takes off
Yeah.
and grows, and then it depletes the oxygen, and then fish die.
Yes, sir.
This,
Mr. Hammond, we need to wrap up, okay?
okay, this is 1/5 of the number of signed petitions. 1/5. There's about 400 here, so we're talking 2,000 plus people that y'all are here to represent, to look out for their good, have said, we don't want this. And it's not so much they don't want the biohazards, which I'm sure they don't want that either. This is the wrong piece of property. It will run into the lake. You wouldn't want your children swimming in that lake a couple of years after this happened. You wouldn't want to eat the fish. But worst of all, do you really and truly want to sit up there and disappoint all of these people that said, we want y'all to look after our good? Here's my vote. Look after me. Now, I would like to ask one more thing
Mr.
before I
Hammond,
walk away.
Mr. Hammond, it's time. We got to wrap up.
Okay, so I'm
thank
done?
you. Yes, sir.
I got some questions.
Thank you. Mr. Pickens, you have a question, sir?
Yeah, Mr. Hammond, we've spoken a couple of times on the phone, I believe, about this, and I gave you my opinion on it. And we are going to discuss it this afternoon, and I'll bring up the concerns that you have. I don't feel it's the right property and never really did. I told the DEP that a while back. And the video, the email that you sent me with the aerial,
Yes, sir?
you sent that. John, did you get that? Selfie? You got it? Okay. Would you thinking that something may be going on that shouldn't be happening? So I've sent it to our codes department, so they'll look into that also, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Rawls, you have the floor, sir?
So I was just talking with our council, and right now, our hands are a little bit tied because we're behind the eight ball. This has kind of caught us off guard. It's the first time since I've been a commissioner that we've had this happen. We can't put anything in play right now that would affect this property. I think one of the things you and your group needs to do is go petition all the people on the planning board. This is going to require a special use permit.
Go to planning.
Huh?
Doesn't go to this.
Zoning board.
ZBOA, or ZBOA. Go to ZBOA and lobby them, and then what we can do in the future is we can put safeguards in place, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, but you're saying that we can establish in our land use code maximums, or where we'll allow it?
You can add regulations. That's what Commissioner Adamsack's been talking about as well.
But I mean, would it be in the land use code?
We're gonna discuss this
Or-
now
yeah,
this
we're-
afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm ready for a discussion now. I don't mind.
No, we're going to do it. It's on the agenda, and it wouldn't be fair to the public if we didn't give them that opportunity to hear from us at 2 o'clock today.
I think right now, I wouldn't let any time pass. Before you leave today, I would get a list of everybody on the ZBOA.
If y'all have been receiving emails from.
We have.
I have.
Okay, so has the ZOBA.
Never gonna come
The-
before us, Mr. Hammond. That's what we're trying to
not
tell
coming.
you. It's never coming to us.
It's not going to come to us.
It's not coming to the
Our hands are
county
tied here.
commission. It's going to the
Y'all still have
ZBOA.
influence.
It's going to go, we
We
cannot
cannot
influence.
influence the ZBOA.
But,
No,
You
sir.
can.
but we did get all the form emails. We did.
You
And
can
we
do
did. And
as the
yours-
Crescent City elected officials did and put something in writing.
We were going to
That's-
talk
we don't
about.
want- You don't want
About that
this.
this afternoon.
Mr. Ham, we're going to do that at 2 o'clock today, I promise. Okay, thank you for your time, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you coming.
If you get,
If I could just say one thing before he leaves. Mr. Hammond, it's not coming to us. Commissioner Rawls is exactly correct. Your group needs to get hold of ZBOA and start trying to talk to the ZBOA, the Zoning Board of Adjustment, because they're quasi judicial. They can't even appeal to us. That's what we've been trying to say all along. It's never gonna come to this board. Now, there's certain things we may or may not could do at some point in the future about certain things, but on this particular one, if I lived next door, I'd be arm in arm with you. I'd go be seeing the ZBOA because I wouldn't want the thing there either because of the stench of it. These things smell. So my suggestion to you is exactly what Commissioner Rawls said. Go talk to your ZBOA members. Make sure and find out when that goes to the ZBOA, and that's the room to pack with all your people is at the ZBOA. You can say whatever you want. We can pass anything we say that we don't think this is a good spot. Hell, I'll sign that tomorrow. but it's not gonna do any good, it's going to ZBOA.
And the ZBOA has no, or y'all don't at all, your opinions do not influence them whatsoever.
No,
I could
we're not
talk to
allowed
people as a citizen.
No, we're not allowed to go to them and say, we want you to vote like this or that. That's the,
So, am I hearing that if I bring 2,000 people to the ZBOA meeting that will be,
Can influence the ZBOA, yes,
you
sir.
betcha you can.
They're your fellow citizens.
They're your citizens appointed by us to represent you, yes, sir.
what I've done is I've started at the governor. Everything that y'all have gotten from me, or from the group I'm working with, has gone from the governor all the way down to almost the garbage.
Yes, sir,
collector,
I understand, but
okay?
you can even call Mr. Joe Biden himself, but I'm
Probably
telling
not
you,
doing
the person, the group that you need to be talking to are the people that are on the ZBOA. You need to find out from Mr. Cioffi's department when that's gonna be on the agenda. And then that's when you need to go and be at that meeting with all your people.
And y'all,
that's
and
what
y'all,
the-
I got Abby Sauls, I got Tabitha Lassiter to give her all the information of all the ZBOA members and their email addresses. So y'all, that's out there,
We have all
so.
that.
Yeah, good.
So as private citizens, not commissioners, step out of the commissioner shoes into private citizen shoes. Y'all cannot come to this meeting along with me and say, we don't want this?
I think it would be improper as a commissioner if I went to the ZBOA and did that, Mr. Hammond, I really do. But I'll state for you on TV right now, I'm not for going there, if that helps you, but I don't think it's proper for me to go to the ZBOA and try to extend my influence as being a commissioner on somebody who's an appointed ZBOA member. I don't think that's proper.
The reason being is the appeal process goes to court. Okay, so you can see where the rub is at that point. There's an appeal, if somebody appeals at either side, it goes to the circuit court at that point. So just kind of hang in there. But Commissioner, and I'm going to close down this one. Commissioner Rawls said something that kind of struck me when he first said it. And he looked at how much poop can Putnam County handle. Remember you said that statement? And if you look out through all of Putnam County and all the platted subdivisions that are out there, and let's just say by a magic wand that all of them sold and all of them started building, how much poop can Putnam County really handle? So I've contacted some of my friends in the environmental groups that people think I'm opposed to. I'm not. I'm an environmentalist. We're just on different sides on some issues. That's all. I think any outdoorsman's a good environmentalist and doesn't want this county to be messed with. And I don't think we can handle much more poop because we have to build out. One day Putnam County's going to build out, and applying biosolids to land might not be a great idea. So thank you for coming. We greatly appreciate it. And is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak
Thank
at
you.
public comment? Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public portion of our meeting. I do want to give kudos to Mr. Grimes, Mr. Hutchinson, all the people who made Saturday's event for Patriot Day just a remarkable success. It was held out here as usual, and a lot of elected officials attended, and it was just amazing. Yeah, it was amazing that the weather cooperated. It wasn't too hot, and I just want to say, even if it was, it's worth it. But it was a tremendously moving ceremony to me. And Commissioner Rawls, when you were doing, reading the people's names, and then the bells went off from Fire Chief Hutchinson, it just sombering moment. And I spoke about the page and the call that's on people's life. And I will tell you that, you're in that moment that you don't know what you're talking, you don't know what you said, but you're saying something meaningful. And then when that page went off at the end, it just moves me. It moves me. And so all of us, if you're watching us on TV, remember every day that these men and women leave their homes and leave their families and drop their fork and their plate off the dinner table to answer the page because somebody has a need and somebody's going to respond, and that person's going to be trained well enough to help. So all the first responders, Sheriff's Department, police force, fire, rescue, everybody, my hat's off to you for the work that you did, and for those of you who put this together, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned. We'll be meeting again at 2 o'clock. I'm sorry. We're going to recess for a 5:05 meeting. We do have a workshop at 2. Thank you for attending today.